This is your Saturday devotion, and I know that there's been a big scam going on in the phone solicitation of "Can you hear me now?" where people are using your yes to try to bilk you out of your funds. But I think God sometimes says, "Are you listening?" and "Can you hear me now?" I want to just quickly go through the beginning of the book of Joshua. Joshua 1:8. We have the commissioning of Joshua. And of course the commissioning involves being instructed carefully about following God's word. In chapter 2, we have the spying of the land, particularly the emphasis on looking over Jericho. Now we don't know exactly why Joshua sent out his men, because we don't have details of God commanding him to do that. Nevertheless, that's what he did, and we assume that he was in close contact with God about that, and that God was directing him to do that. In chapter 3, we have the crossing of the Jordan, a miraculous thing. I'd love to be able to preach to you 3 or 4 messages on the crossing of the Jordan, but it's not our purpose tonight. And then we have in chapter 4, verse 23, God getting the credit for the successful crossing, and in chapter 5, we have the circumcision of all of the males, and we have worship before war. Let me say that again. We have worship before war. Joshua finds it very necessary to be obedient to God's word about the circumcision, and then the altars and the memorials that are set up. What happens in chapter 5, beginning at verse 13, is quite interesting. Listen as I read to you. Chapter 5, verses 13 through 15. Now it came about when Joshua was by Jericho, he lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, a man was standing opposite him with his sword drawn in his hand. Joshua went to him and said, "Are you for us or for our adversaries?" And the man with the sword drawn said, "No, rather I indeed come as captain of the host of the Lord." And Joshua fell on his face to the earth and bowed down and said to him, "What has my Lord to say to his servant?" Interesting, isn't it? He finds this man who identifies himself as the captain of the host of the Lord. And Joshua bows down and says, "I'm listening. What does my Lord have to say to me?" The captain of the Lord's host said to Joshua, "Remove your sandals from your feet, for the place where you are standing is holy." And Joshua did so. Soon they would fight the battle of Jericho. But God said, "Are you listening, Joshua?" And Joshua said, "Yes, Lord, I'm listening. What do you have to say to your servant?" Is it possible that right now in your life God is saying to you, "Are you listening?" Have you stopped and slowed down a little bit and been quiet a little bit, instead of lifting up all of your petitions, all of your prayer requests, all of your wants and all of your desires, all of your intercession for other people? And have you just been still for a while and said, "God, I'm listening. What do you want me to do?" I think it's a good thing to do periodically, and I think then God speaks to us in a still small voice. I think he speaks to us through his word. I think he speaks to us through the pastor's messages. I think he speaks to us through others. But I believe God speaks in many different ways, and sometimes we're so busy asking, we're so busy doing, that we're not saying, "I'm listening, Lord. What is it you want to say to your servant?" That's your thought for the day. God bless you and have a great day.